Fall is typically the time of year when the real estate market starts to cool off, activity dwindles, and everything just kind of settles as we head into the holidays. But this year, is that going to happen? Is the real estate market going to cool, or are we going to continue red hot like we've been for most of 2021? Hi, this is Andrew with the Andrew Smith team at eXp Realty. And in my monthly market report for October, we're going to take a look at home prices and what to expect going forward. Now, if you happen to see the video I put out last week, it talked about, is the real estate market going to cool as we enter into quarter four? We have to admit, there's a lot of speculation and uncertainty about what quarter four is going to bring due to the fact of what an unusual year last year was. And at this point in time, there's a lot of potential buyers out there that they're just not sure what to do. Are we in a bubble? Are we not in a bubble? Have home prices peaked? Am I buying at the top of the market? Should I wait? Those are all questions, and they're all valid questions. Absolutely. So what I want to do in this market report is kind of take a look at what set us up here, or what brought us to this point. You may recall, if you've seen any of the videos I've done over the last few months, I've been talking about the situation that we are in the real estate market is a supply issue. It's not to do with bad loans. It's not to do with speculation. It is a supply issue. And I want to go into that a little bit here in this market report. So here, I'm going to share my screen with you. And we're going to take a look at this. So this first graph here that we're looking at is going back to 2017, 18, and 19. And what we're looking at is active monthly listing count and how it goes throughout the year. So as you can see, inventory has generally been falling for each of these years, 2017, 18, and 19. You can see we started the year in 2017 with about 1.25 million homes for sale nationwide. And then that number fell in 2018, and we recovered a little bit back in 2019. But you can see that the year starts fairly at the lowest amount of inventory that we have. And then it starts to climb, especially starting in late March, April. We get into the traditional busy season for real estate, and it climbs. And inventory usually peaks, depending on where in the country you are, right around July, August. For the most part, in 2019, it actually peaked in October. But for the most part, it's towards the end of summer, right before we get into fall, is what we normally see for the amount of homes for sale peaking. Let's look at 2020. Well, 2020 was the anomaly, right? So we started out, about 1,050,000 homes on the market, and we actually peaked in April because after April, as we all know, COVID hit, the pandemic, we went into a lockdown. And since that time, inventory started to plummet. So it was a steady downward trend in the number of homes for sale. So here's the conundrum here. Look at what happened to sales in the latter half of 2020. So from July through December, sales soared. So sales in this instance indicate demand. So demand was going up. The red line on the right here shows what happens to listings in the second half of 2020. They fell. So we have demand surging and supply falling. Supply and demand. What happened as a result of this? Home prices soared. That's no surprise to anybody. Starting in about February of 2021, so February of this year, that's when we really started to see the extent of bidding wars and multiple offers. And that is when we really got into high teens or low 20% year over year price increases. It's a result of this right here. Supply going down and sales absolutely soaring. So the question becomes, what's going to happen in quarter four? Where are we going for the rest of this year? And the answer is, nobody really knows. So here's where we're at right now. So listings in 2021, you can see we started the year at about 600,000, much, much lower than we usually experience and see. And here we are in August, and we've never gotten close to the normal number of listings that we would have as of this when it's calculating in August. So the projection is, where's it going to go? Or is it behind, door number one, door number two, door number three? And the experts aren't sure. And I honestly think it really depends on where in the country that you are. So, for instance, here in Frisco and Prosper, Texas, we've actually started to see inventory fall once again. So, the inventory has fallen back to below a 1 month supply. We are actually currently at about 0.7 months. So, very, very little inventory at all. In Southern California, Temecula, Murrieta, where I'm also based, we are seeing inventory increase. So for the past couple of months, we've actually seen the inventory trend up to not a lot, but we're at about a 1.2, 1.3 month. So again, do I think it's going to be number one? I don't. I also don't think it's going to be number three. I think we're going to be closer to number two here and see things flatten out to a certain extent with regards to the inventory. And as a result, we're seeing homes still sell incredibly quickly. I mean, days on market's way down, but we are seeing the amount of this, or the sales price, I should say, in relation to the list price coming down. We're seeing on average 100 to 103% here in Texas, Frisco and Prosper, of list price is where the sales price is. You consider just a few months ago, back in May, June time, that was 106 to 107%. Right. So homes were basically selling 6 to 7% over where they were listed. And right now it's closer to 1 to 3% over what they are listed. Very similar in Southern California. Right now they're selling 1 to 2% over the list price. Whereas just a couple of months ago, back in May, they were selling at 4 to 5% over list price. Now, what home prices do going forward, and again, if you didn't see last week's video, I put a link to it directly below in the description. We talk about home price projections all the way out through 2025. And I will say that while the experts do think that the pace of appreciation is going to slow, they don't see home prices turning the other way. Now, the caveat to all of this is mortgage rates, because mortgage rates could put downward pressure on pricing going forward. And we did see mortgage rates increase just recently, just up over 3%. And it did cause the number of mortgage applications that were being submitted to go up. And so with that, here's where the mortgage rate projections are going forward. So you can see here, this is looking at Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, the Mortgage Bankers Association, and the National Association of Realtors. So right now we know we're at 3.01% roughly. I don't think we're going to get to 3.4% as Freddie Mac says here. The average of about 3.18 sometime later in the fourth quarter. And then you can see where this goes all the way out towards the third quarter of 2022 with a consensus of about 3.5%. So not drastic, but enough to make some people just pause a little bit. Now let's put this in practical terms. Let's take a look at your purchasing power in relation to the interest payment. So the top number that you've got here is what your home loan amount would be. So you can see here, we started a $520,000 loan amount. We go down to a $440,000 loan amount in this example. So rates just a couple of months ago were at 2.75%. And you can see on a $520,000 mortgage, your principal and interest payment would be about $2,123 a month. If those rates go to 4%, now all of a sudden your payment goes up $350 a month. So that starts to make an impact on people's budgets. And you can see this exact same trend on exactly how much more a month it would cost you going across all of the different price points here. So the bottom line is, going forward, Keep an eye on the mortgage rates, as that's going to dramatically impact the amount of home that you're able to purchase. And also, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, I encourage you to do so, as I put updates out like this every single week. In order to bring some normalcy, if you like, back into the market, we need to see supply increase, and or we need to see demand decrease. I don't think it's going to be ultimately one or the other. I think it's going to be a balance between the two. One thing that is helping is that the new home builders are now starting to catch up. They're starting to have more inventory available, which they haven't had in months. So I was at new home construction sites in the last 2 weeks. And in all cases, they had available inventory. Maybe not something that you can move into next month, but a lot of them had homes available that they can close on in December, January, February. That's nowhere near the 7 or 8 months out before they were even releasing new lots just a few months ago that we were experiencing. That should help free up some resale inventory as well. As let's face it, one of the biggest challenges, if you own a home and you're thinking of moving, if you put your home up for sale, where are you going to go? I mean, if there's not really anything out there, what's the point in selling? Right. So that will start to shift and change as we go through this fall into winter. So hopefully that helps kind of explain where we are currently and what we're projecting going forward. If you have any questions whatsoever or specific situation you'd like to talk through, please give me a call. You can reach me at 888-447-9650.